姊妹如果有聖經，請你打開提摩太前書嘅第3章。
Brothers and sisters, if you have a Bible with you, please open to the First Timothy chapter 3.
今日繼續會睇提摩太前書裏邊保羅俾提摩太一啲嘅指引。
We'll keep on studying the First Timothy and what the instruction that or the guidance that Paul have given to Timothy.
特別呢啲嘅指引，我哋今日會睇一睇，去再思想侍奉喺教會裏邊嘅侍奉。
Today, let us rethink or reflect on the serve or the ministry in the church.
每一個人對侍奉可能都抱唔同嘅觀念。
We may have bit different understanding of serving.
有啲人可能覺得侍奉即係喺教會裏邊做一啲嘅嘢，但係有一啲嘅人可能會覺得呢一個係我一個屬靈嘅體驗。
So some people may think serving in the church is just a work need to be done, but some people can be value as an experience, spiritual experience.
所以呢一個做完嘢就算啦，或者可能我哋有個體驗嘅時候，我哋會反覆思想今日我哋點樣可以改進，或者點樣可以突破，點樣更好討主嘅喜悅，呢一個就成為你侍奉嘅祝福。
So just complete the work only, but some may want to through this experience to how to see how they can improve the relationship with God.
如果你明白呢一個嘅原因，你就知道點解神容許一位全能嘅神係要我哋去做工，因為神透過呢個工作俾我哋學習，我哋點樣喺我哋嘅工作嘅崗位裏邊謹慎，我哋點樣盡心，點樣我嘗試為主做到最好。
If you have that experience, then we may understand why even God is Almighty still wanted to perform or do some work for Him, because God wants us to through this work or through this serving to improve ourselves spiritually.
咁有一啲嘅人可能覺得，當我侍奉嘅時候，我有做教會嘅領袖嘅時候，我哋追求嘅係我希望能夠好似做工不斷攀上高峰，而忽略咗我哋嘅心態係侍奉緊神，去尊主為聖。
So some people want to be a leader of the church because it's kind of like a workplace that they want to fulfill the ambition to keep climbing the job ladder, or some people will have a good attitude that to serving God that they want to still the main concern is they really want to improve the relationship with God.
有一啲咧好着重我想點就點，我覺得咁好我就會咁樣去做，而忽略咗整體神嘅見證或者整體嘅弟兄姊妹嘅需要嘅成長。
Some people just do it in their own way, but some people may serve the Lord in a way they want to look at the whole church and the whole congregation. They want to have a spiritual growth for everyone at the same time.
或者整體我哋睇，當我哋侍奉係以自己為中心，定係以神為你侍奉嘅中心？
So when we serve, we should reflect on we are just for our personal reason, or we want to serve the Lord.
如果你有機會睇啟示錄，特別神向7間嘅教會嘅啟示嘅當中，
When we look at Revelation about what can reveal about the 7 churches,
你會留意神提每一間教會，佢留意到佢好嘅地方，亦都留意到佢需要注意改進嘅地方。
so when the Revelation talk about the 7 churches, they good point or good thing that the church need to keep on, and also their area that the witnesses of the church that they need to be proved.
或者我哋睇一睇啟示錄裏邊講到以弗所教。
Maybe look at the Revelation chapter 2 about the church in Ephesus.
我哋要了解，因為提摩太係當時係服侍緊以弗所教會。
We need to focus on that because during that time Timothy was serving in the church of Ephesus.
神知道以弗所教會佢哋嘅行為勞苦忍耐。
So God know the church Ephesus about their hard work and their patience.
佢哋嘅辛勞，神係知道。
God knows the people serving there are really hardworking.
但係神亦都知道佢嘅問題係失去咗起初嗰種愛心。
However, God also knew that they also have witnesses. They lost their heart, the first love.
可能佢哋願意勞苦，佢哋願意擺上，但係已經失去咗嗰個原有嘅動機去侍奉主，去尊主為實，去回應主嘅愛，只係當一個工作而已。
They may steal and do, as the Bible said, they may stealing and do the hardship for God's name. However, they forsake their first love and they just treat what they're serving as kind of a work or a job.
神嘅鼓勵以弗所教會，我哋要回想喺幾時嘅墜落，我哋應該去悔改，行起初所行的。
So God wants to remind the church in Ephesus that they remember the height from which they have been fallen, repent and do the thing they did at first.
其實喺七間教會裏邊，要話俾我哋聽乜嘢信息？
So for this church, 7 churches in Revelation, what God wants us to know.
神係留意緊教會裏邊嘅人佢哋嘅侍奉。
God actually is looking at how we serve the church.
你點樣努力，你點樣擺上，主係知道。
God knows your hardship you have been put on the church.
你嘅動機係咪正確，主係知道。
God also knows what's your intention.
神係期望去提醒我哋，以致我哋去糾正。但係如果我哋喺侍奉裏邊冇被提醒，冇被糾正，我哋嘅侍奉裏邊唔係成為我哋嘅祝福，反而成為我哋一個嘅絆腳石。
Through serving, God wants to remind us how we should change or we should transform ourselves. If we don't pay attention to that, then the serving become kind of a struggling for us or stumbling block for us, our spiritual growth.
嗱，當我哋睇提摩太前書嘅時候，我哋要留意保羅係鼓勵提摩太喺以弗所教會侍奉，而提摩太亦都喺當時面對好多嘅困難。保羅去嘗試鼓勵佢，嘗試俾一啲嘅正確嘅原則，以至佢懂得點樣去帶領教會。
See, in the first Timothy, Timothy was serving in the church at Ephesus, and he has facing lots of challenges. So Paul wanted to give him some guidance and instruction how to serve in the church.
所以當我哋睇提摩太書信嘅時候，正好點解唔係淨係俾封信佢，而係留喺聖經嘅當中？神期望我哋能夠裏邊所講嘅嘢喺歷世歷代嘅裏邊都成為一個嘅原則，以致按着呢一個規模去建立神嘅教會。
Through the first Timothy, God wanted to know, use all the principle or discipline that we can learn from the first Timothy and pass it from generation to generation as our guidance.
去到第3章嘅時候，保羅去俾提摩太對教會一啲嘅領袖嗰個侍奉嘅要求喺當中好清楚記載。
In chapter 3 of 1 Timothy, the book clearly recorded what is the requirement as a leader for the church.
今日我哋如果喺教會嘅領袖，我哋睇呢啲嘅原則，我哋點樣去裝備自己，或者我哋裝備自己將來成為教會神喜悅嘅領袖。
As a leader or as the leaders of this church, we need to understand all those disciplines so we can know how to build this church.
你會留意一開始嘅時候，保羅去提到有一個嘅職份叫做監督。
In the beginning of the chapter 3, Paul mentioned there is kind of a position or task that need to be an overseer.
嗱，你會留意嘅時候，當時保羅所指嘅監督同我哋今日所理解可能係有一啲唔同嘅，但我哋嘗試了解保羅所指嘅係乜嘢。
So the role that of the overseer in that time may be different than what we understand right now, but we still look into it.
當我哋睇呢一個監督嘅時候，保羅喺第5節嘅時候，亦都提到嘅時候，我哋去管理神嘅教會。
Besides overseers, chapter 5, in verse 5, Paul also mentioned about want us to know how to take care of the church.
呢一度嘅時候，你會留意喺呢個段落，英文聖經有翻譯過 manage， 亦都係 take care。
So even though the translation or the English word use take care, but also there's a meaning of manage.
嗱，你會留意跟住第二個嘅侍奉嘅身份嘅時候，有好多嘢好類似。除咗一樣嘢嘅時候，喺呢一度第2節嘅時候講到監督，亦都有特別 highlight 咗係善於教導。
So the role of the overseers also need to be able to teach.
咁所以你會留意嘅時候呢，我哋睇翻《使徒行傳》嘅第20章。
So when we look at these chapter 20 of the book of Acts,
保羅去鼓勵當時喺教會做監督嘅有一啲嘅勸勉。
So during that time, Paul encouraging the leader or the overseer, a guardian.
或者當時保羅去對以弗所裏邊嘅監督去做一啲嘅勸勉。
So Paul encouraged the overseer in the church in Ephesus.
保羅係咁樣講，佢話聖靈立你們作全群嘅監督，你們就當為自己謹慎，也要為全群謹慎。牧養神嘅教會，就是他用自己嘅血所買來的。
So Paul said, keep watching over yourself and all the flock of which the Holy Spirit has made you overseers. Be shepherd of the church of God, which he bought with his own blood.
所以保羅特別對當時嘅以弗所教會提到監督嘅時候，係當時喺教會裏邊作屬靈嘅帶領，作牧養嘅帶領。
So what Paul means for the overseer actually is the shepherd or the guide or the leaders of the church.
所以喺作教會嘅監督嘅時候，需要有一種嘅屬靈嘅帶領嗰個嘅能力。
That means the overseer also need to have the ability to be to perform the spiritual shepherding.
跟住如果再睇呢段經文裏邊提到第二個身份，對唔住，我打錯咗個字嚇，係嘅執事。
So the second role Paul mentioned in the church is the deacon.
喺執事嘅裏邊嘅時候，我哋如果留意《使徒行傳》第6章，亦都提到開始喺教會裏邊選立執事。
So also in the book of Acts, chapter 6, it's mentioned about this the election or choosing of the deacons. Deacons, sorry.
你會留意喺當時嘅時候個起因，因為當時啲人喺飯食，因為當時係一齊食飯嚇，或者食用中國嘅字食大鑊飯嚇。咁但係咧喺分配食物上邊出現一啲嘅糾紛嚇，咁所以咧當時彼得就係話：如果我哋抌低神嘅道去照顧唔合理所以咧就選立咗7個嘅執事出嚟，去帶領教會，特別一啲嘅事務上邊。
So during that time, that is kind of complaint about how the food was distributed among the people, and then so Paul decided that it's not good for all the disciples to deal with that, and they try to start to choose the deacons.
所以你會知道初期教會去選立執事嗰啲 deacon 係愛嚟係負責 kitchen 嘅。
So we realize at the beginning of the church, or the deacon actually seems like to be responsible for the food or the kitchen.
咁你會留意嘅時候咧，但係你唔好忽略喎。我負責煮嘢食嘅啫，所以我嘅技能煮。你會留意咧，喺初期教會嗰7個執事裏邊，其中有一個叫做司提反。
So the deacons actually is kind of group people just because of food. That's simple, but actually when we pay attention, one of the deacons actually was Stephen.
負責分配食物都要有好名聲，被聖靈充滿，有智慧。
even just for food distribution, then the deacon, the person chosen, still need to have be full of spiritual and wisdom.
喺當中嘅時候，我哋會留意司提反係持守住真道，
So we can
甚至
see.
佢自己犧牲自己。
So you can see that you may realize that Stephen actually is a man who a disciple that whole firm his belief, and actually he died of his belief.
所以你整體嘅時候，你會留意喺當時整體嘅觀念開始選立執事嘅時候，執事比較偏向喺事務上面嘅管理，但係亦都係同樣係一個屬靈嘅看守者。
So you can see in the early church, the deacon actually is more on the administration side of the church affair, but however, they still need to be kind of a spiritual person.
所以喺提摩太書信特別第3章裏邊提到一啲嘅監督亦都提到執事。
So in the 1 Timothy chapter 3, Paul mentioned about the overseers and also the deacon.
特別保羅喺呢一度嘅時候咧，喺第11節嘅裏邊提到女執事也是如此，凡事端莊，不說讒言，有節制，凡事忠心。
Paul also said in verse 11 that in the same way the wife were to be woman worthy of respect, not malicious talker, but temperate and trustworthy in everything.
你會留意喺中文聖經裏邊譯做女執事，但係喺英文聖經裏邊其實係指到執事嘅太太。
In Chinese Bible, actually the translation is more kind of a female deacon, but in the English Bible, it said they are the deacon's wife.
你會留意出嚟教會，特別喺經文嘅裏邊佢睇嘅時候，佢唔係特別 highlight 咗一啲嘅女性做執事，而係指到一啲執事佢嘅配偶都需要同樣有好嘅名聲。
So actually the Bible didn't highlight there is female deacons, rather than they focus on the deacon's wife need to be also have a spiritual righteous person.
你會留意，無論係指到監督又好，指到執事又好，你會留意咧喺一開始，保羅話人想要得監督嘅職分，就是善務善功。
Doesn't matter for the overseers or the deacon, the requirement, as Paul said, he desire a noble task.
侍奉唔係一個崗位而已。
So serving is not just kind of a work or a task.
保羅知道，如果人係善務善功，係善務一個尊崇崇高嘅工作，係一件美事嚟嘅。
So Paul told us that with the people who serve desire noble tasks. Actually, this is really pleasing.
我侍奉緊呢位尊貴嘅主，教會嗰啲係聖工，我去努力去做，我希望去做，我羨慕去做，呢件係美事。
So I'm the deacon of the church. I'm willing to serve. I desire to serve, and this is such a beautiful picture.
如果我覺得又要我做咁多嘢做，明嘛？你唔明白侍奉嗰個真義。
If a person keep complaining, oh, why I have so many things to do, then you don't really understand the spiritual meaning of serving.
神喺教會裏邊設立有唔同嘅崗位，係讓教會有一個好嘅屬靈嘅安排管理，甚至一個屬靈嘅方向。
So the church has different positions such that we can management in a proper way, so we can have a very good spiritual direction.
神將各樣嘅人，將各樣嘅崗位擺喺教會嘅裏邊，讓教會得到最好嘅照顧。
There are different positions, a role in the church, so the church can be taken care properly.
安排佢做彈琴，彈到最好。
So being a
你嘅
pianist,
最好係最好。
so being a pianist, do the best or perform the best performance.
預備到最好，因為我將最好嘅獻過俾神。
prepare the best, and because I want to give the church or the God the best.
我有機會煮啲叻，煮啲飯，用心去煮。
I have the opportunity to prepare snack or even the lunch or the meal for the church. I try all my best or do all my best to prepare.
將最好嘅擺上。
Give my best to the church and to
每
God.
一次當我哋去服侍嘅時候，呢個係聖工，我哋要好好將自己分別出嚟，同向主講，俾我力量去服侍，將最好嘅獻過俾你，唔好失去咗，好似以弗所教會一樣失去咗最初嘅愛心。
So we have the opportunity to serve. I will do my best, and also because I want to and don't forsake the first love for the church.
喺教會嘅服侍，
When you serve the church,
要達到呢啲咁美麗嘅結果，需要有乜嘢嘅原則去做呢？
you want to get such a beautiful result as mentioned in the Bible. What you need to prepare for.
嗱，你會留意喺第3章裏邊，保羅講到好多呢啲，無論監督又好、執事又好，佢嘅侍奉嘅資格。
So in chapter 3, Paul also mentioned, doesn't matter if you are the overseers or the deacon, they need to some qualification to be them.
嗱，我嘗試就將第3章嘅裏邊去分咗一啲嘅段落去方向去睇。
So in chapter 3, I will divide into different sections so we can see different directions to look at the qualifications.
你會留意保羅咧，去嘗試喺侍奉嘅崗位裏邊劃分咗有3個嘅層面。
So Paul kind of divided the role of the church in three ways.
Three different aspects。
Different aspects.
咁你會留意喺第一個嘅層面嘅時候咧，你嘅保羅去講到有個人成長嘅層面。
So first aspect, Paul mentioned about the requirement on the personal level.
你會留意喺佢個人嘅層面嘅裏邊咧，佢特別講到作監督嘅必須無可指責，只作一個婦人長，有節制，有自守端正，樂於接待遠人，善於教導。
So Paul mentioned so the church they should have this personal characters, temperate, self-control, respectable, hospitable, and able to speak.
你會留意喺當中嘅時候咧，保羅去強調嗰個侍奉者嗰個人嘅品格好緊要。
So in verse 3, Paul emphasized that the character of the one who serves is very important.
要節制，
They need to be self-controlled.
要自守，
They need to be respectful.
做啲嘢人哋係尊敬你嘅唔好做一啲用世界嘅觀念擺喺教會裏邊。
They need to be temperate, and what they have done need to be respectable. So don't put the world value into the church.
保羅喺第2節裏邊有一啲嘅正面追求嘅品格，亦都有啲嘢要我哋留意唔好做嘅情況。
So besides Paul talk about the positive character, Paul also remind us there's something we should not do.
保羅講到唔好因酒之事，唔好打人，只要溫和，不爭競，不貪財。
Paul asks us not given to drunkenness, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, and not a lover of money.
你諗下，如果侍奉者得閒就要牧師走去警察局裏邊去擔保你出嚟，咁即係幾論盡嘅咯，係咪？
So as someone who's serving God, we always ask the pastor to go to the police to work, kind of release you from the station, then there's always troubles.
明嘛？飲咗酒就冇節制啦，所以要防止啦。
You get drunk, then you lost your self-control. That's the reason you should not get into drunkenness.
唔好貪財。
Not to be love of money.
你會留意跟住，如果我哋去到遲啲講到第6章，貪財係萬國之根。
When we go further later about chapter 6, that is a love of money or the love of money is the root of lots of sins for action.
你會留意，如果一個侍奉者去貪財嘅時候，好容易用佢嘅身份去為自己去積賺即係錢財，呢一個係將來變咗一個好大嘅一個嘅反見證。
And then with someone as a lover of money and still and serve in the church, then they may take advantage of the church, and then that become a negative way in witness the church.
跟住去睇執事都係鼓勵我哋正面去建立個人嘅品格，好似端莊，兩者都有提。
So as a deacon, we have to enhance our personal character, like in to be a man worthy of respect and sincere.
你會留意係講提到執事，你會留意有一個清潔嘅良心。
As a deacon, we also has a clear conscience.
如果教會嘅領袖都埋沒良心，咁就死啦。
So as a leader of the church, as a deacon of the church, and still have a clear conscience, there will be a big impact on us.
你會留意唔好飲酒不貪不義之財，兩者都有，但係喺呢一度特別提到唔好一口兩舌。
So here, we also Paul emphasized we should not enjoying in much wine, and also the most important is even more important is not pursuing dishonor gain.
如果侍奉嘅人開會嘅時候好轉頭嘅時候，又喺度唱反調咁就會出現教會唔係一個建造一個和諧，而建造一種嘅分裂嘅情況。
So we as a deacon, and then you say yes to something, and then turn back and say no, or tell people a different opinion, then will cause conflict in the church.
所以特別執事嘅配偶都需要端莊，需要不說讒言，要節制，有忠心。
That's the reason that even the deacon's wife need to be a woman worthy of respect, and also be temperate and trustworthy in everything.
特別喺當中嘅時候提到不說讒言。
And also, Paul emphasized the wife or the women need to be not ridiculous talkers.
你會留意保羅喺當中嘅時候，鼓勵無論做監督執事或者佢哋嘅配偶，都要去追求一個好嘅個人嘅品格。
So not just both the deacon and their wives need to be have a good value or good personal character.
除咗個人嘅品格之外嘅時候，你會留意啲經文，保羅亦都好着重家庭嘅層面。
And also Paul, besides the personal character, Paul also emphasized the requirement on the family level.
佢指做一個婦人嘅丈夫。
So the deacon need to be the husband of but one wife.
着侍奉嘅時候，除咗我哋用心去侍奉，喺你嘅家庭裏邊，你都要對你嘅配偶嗰種嘅忠誠。
So when the deacon serve the church, they also need to be a faithful husband of the wife.
好多人侍奉出現問題，就往往喺婚姻上邊出現咗嘅問題。
Lots of deacon have the problem is actually related to the relation with their partner.
點解要咁嘅要求？
So why Paul mentioned about those requirements?
保羅一陣會解釋。
Paul will explain it later.
你會留意，除咗夫婦嘅關係，兒女嘅關係亦都好緊要。
Besides the relation between the husband and wife, also the relation with their children is very important for the deacon.
如果你叫人愛主，你叫人行正路，你嘅兒女行歪路嘅。
With even the deacon also the righteous path, but their children was on the not on the right on the truth.
將來如果你遲啲我哋講到下一個嘅層面嘅時候，你會知道好容易啲就成為魔鬼嗰個嘅網羅喺當中。
When we talk about later, if we have all this problem, then they become kind of a trap used by the devil one.
無論提到婚姻嘅關係，無論兒女嘅關係嘅時候，保羅去解釋，佢話人若不知道管理自己嘅家，焉能照管神嘅教會？
So Paul emphasized the relation of the spousal relationship and also the family relationship, because Paul emphasized that if anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how can one take care of God's church?
你唔好忘記，我哋講到監督又好，執事又好，好着重佢哋係管理教會或者 manage or take care the church。
When we talk about the overseers and the deacons, actually the main role of them is to manage and or take care of the church.
點知對方可唔可以 take care the church？
So how we know that if they can take care of the church?
睇你嘅家就知。
From one's how they manage the family, then we can know.
你可唔可以 take care 到你嘅屋企？如果你自己屋企都搞唔掂，你點可以有嗰個能力或者精神或者時間去照管神嘅教會？
If anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how we know that they have the capability or capable to take care of the church.
保羅對教會侍奉者，除咗個人嘅品格有一個要求之外，佢嘅家庭亦都有一個嘅要求。
Being deacons of the church, the requirement on the personal characters is also there's a requirement for the family's management.
你會留意第三個嘅層面係講到信仰嘅層面。
So the third aspect actually is on the requirement on the faith level.
無論監督又好，執事又好，佢哋需要能夠帶領教會去固守真道嘅奧秘。
So both the overseers and the deacons need to understand the deep truth of the faith. Or they keep hold of the deep truth of the faith.
唔單止持守嗰個真理，亦都會留意一樣就係、保羅喺第10節話：這等人必須要先受試驗，若沒有可責之處，然後叫他作執事。
So Paul also mentioned they must first be tested, and then if there's nothing against them, let them serve as deacons.
佢哋要經過考驗。
They will be tested.
喺信仰上邊面對困難，佢係站得住啊！佢仍然用信心啊，定係有面對少少困難，我哋就抌晒神自己，跟住去用翻自己嘅方法。
Even though they have all the spiritual challenges, difficulties, then are they going to use the or behave like the on the guidance of the God, or use their own way?
呢度同彼得喺彼得前書裏邊係一個相呼應，呢個信心既被試驗，就比那火仍然能壞嘅金子更顯寶貴。
So
just similar when Peter and mentioned about our faith have to be tested, and if we pass through all the tests, that is more precious.More treasurable than the gold. So all our faith we have to test, and that's the requirement in here. 所以我哋嘅信心要經歷得起嗰種嘅試驗。特別喺呢一度嘅時候提到第6節，初入教嘅唔好叫佢做監督，因為最重點係怕佢自高自大。
So also Paul mentioned that for he must not be a reasoned.convert or may become deceived.
所以留意點解話着重點係自高自大，因為初入教會自高自大，長入教久喺教會裏面都可能自高自大。個着重點你會留意個經文嘅結構嘅時候，當然啦，初入教有一個多一樣嘅 temptation， 因為我啱啱話信主，我已經做監督啦，咁我多一層，但係當自高自大嘅時候，就落喺魔鬼嘅網絡裏邊。
So it's funny that not just the recent convert can become deceived, or even the one who is subscribed for a long time can become deceived. So the focus is actually on don't become deceived, because that way we may fall under the same judgment as the devil.
你會留意自高自大就好似咩啊？魔鬼嘅做法，魔鬼就衰啲樣咯。
So we become deceived, too proud of ourselves. Actually, so we behave like all the Satans or the devil ones.
我哋追求好名聲，我哋追有好嘅見證嘅時候，防止被人毀謗你啊！
So we must also the deacon need to be the deacon must also have good reputation with others.
俾人毀謗你嘅時候，你就落喺魔鬼嗰個陷阱嘅裏邊。魔鬼透過好多嘅試探引誘 trap 你，你就 trap 咗落去，你咪被毀謗，跟住你以後就冇咗嗰個動力去服侍啦。
So that the deacon will not fail to disgrace with you with one of the way that the devil want tempt you is or the track is make you be disgraced.
保羅強調侍奉者佢信仰需要有一個嘅基本一個資格。
So Paul emphasized that as someone to serve God, we need to weigh the perseverance of faith.
你會留意保羅俾監督、俾執事，其實佢哋都要有一個好高嘅要求喺度。
So Paul emphasized that both the overseers and the deacon need to have a very high requirement.
點解聖經要記載咁清楚？
Why the Bible put all this into details?
唔係淨係俾當時以弗所教會。
It's not just for the church in Ephesus during that time.
聖經期望呢一個就係嗰個基礎，去建立起教會。
So Bible emphasized that this is the foundation for us to build a church.
聖經鼓勵我哋每一個侍奉者去追求呢啲嘅品格，或者去追求呢啲嘅標準，或者佢哋整個家庭同樣去追求呢啲嘅標準。
So Bible emphasized that we for the one who serve the God or the deacons have to have this or this family way, also family or this personal characters. Also, there's requirement for their family.
所以你會留意有啲人冇啲標準，佢哋會話：總之有人侍奉就好啦，有人侍奉嘅最開心啦。可能係有人侍奉應該開心，但係如果佢用自己嘅方法侍奉咗，可能將來仲有更多嘅問題喺後邊。
So for people, sometimes they may just want, as far as someone willing to serve the church, that's a good thing. But however, we are aware that if they don't meet all this requirement, there will be a long-term or even a huge impact with the church.
有呢啲嘅標準嘅侍奉人，冇呢啲標準嘅侍奉人，有乜嘢分別？
For someone they have this kind of requirement or qualification to serve the church, when we compare to the people serving the church without all this qualification, what's the difference?
我哋一齊讀第13節。
Maybe all read verse 13 together.
因為善作執事的自己就得了美好嘅地步，並且在基督耶穌裏嘅真道上大有膽量。弟兄姊妹，當我哋追求呢啲嘅標準，我哋有啲標準嘅時候，我哋服侍，我哋就會勇敢。如果唔係嘅時候，成日喺當中自己嘅良心，魔鬼又控告你，哎呀，我又冇噶，又鬧人，我又有因酒滋事，我好多嘅嘢，被好多嘅自責。喺你侍奉裏邊，唔係一種成長，而係一種好似好辛苦，享受唔到侍奉嘅喜樂。
So, brothers, when we try to pursue all this qualification or requirements, we may get into the track that we don't fail in the track that we get complaining from. We have kind of self-complaining, or even can hear the complaining from the devil one that we don't meet this requirement qualification. Rather, we should focus on get out from this temptation and focus on serving.
保羅好鼓勵提摩太用呢啲嘅標準去建立以弗所教會。
So Paul had been telling Timothy or encouraged Timothy to use this requirements of qualification as a standard to serve the church in Ephesus.
聖經好清楚記載喺歷世歷代嘅教會要以呢啲嘅標準去建立教會。
The Bible recorded clearly, or mentioned clearly that all the the church from generation to generation has to use this qualification as a standard to build the church.
或者聖經去咁樣去提醒我哋，每一個願意去侍奉嘅，你唔係淨係追求嗰個崗位、嗰個身份，而係追求我嗰個侍奉嘅資格，以至係透過侍奉，我整個嘅個人嘅生命、家庭，我整個屬靈嘅層面都能夠有成長。呢個係神期望睇到。
So the Bible emphasizes that we just not try to get the job done or the task done. Rather than we need to pursue this qualification, so we fully serving the God, and we have transformed in our personal character and also transformed in our family relationship or in our family.
弟兄姊妹，今日無論你係喺教會有咩服侍，當我哋將啲標準去量度下你自己，你冇量度別人，你量度你自己。
Brother, sister, doesn't matter what role you are serving the church. May we reflect ourselves and use those requirements or qualifications to check ourselves.
你 qualify 定唔 qualify？
Do you qualify or not qualify as the deacon?
如果你話你唔 qualify， 喺邊個層面你唔夠 qualify？If
you think you are not qualified, in which area or which kind of requirement you didn't meet,
或者
you did fulfill.
最重要嗰個問題，請你一定要做，你點樣去改進自己，以至你 qualify， 以至你信心大有膽量去服侍主。
So you think there's the area you are not qualified yet, then you should reflect yourself in what way you can improve so that you can be qualified.
試想像一下，
Let's imagine.
如果教會有啲嘅標準，教會冇啲嘅標準，會變成一啲個有咩分別？
So we, if the church have people serving, we serve by people with this requirement compared to don't have those persons, what would be the difference?
有好多人，好少人，有咩分別？
So we have lots of people serving or just a little bit of people serving, what's the difference?
或者我哋問一問另一個問題，
Maybe also ask,
我哋有啲嘅標準，冇啲標準，上帝點睇你教會？
with the church, with people of this meet that requirement or with doubt, then how God will view this church?
你教會，上帝只係睇你教會大定細，定係神期望你教會裏邊嘅人，佢嘅個人、家庭同埋信仰有冇一啲嘅標準？
So do you think God just care about the size of the church or more concerned about the people there have those qualifications on your personal character, family relationship, and also your spiritual life?
當你留意第14、15節嘅時候，保羅喺背景，保羅先派提摩太去照顧以弗所教會，跟住保羅好想去。
So when we look at verse 14 and 15, Paul sent Timothy already to take care of the church in Ephesus, even though Paul really want to go there.
但如果嚟唔切嘅時候，你就按呢啲嘅資格、呢啲嘅原則去建立、去帶領教會。
So if I'm delayed, then he asked. So Paul asked Timothy to use those requirement qualification as a guide to take care of the church.
你會留意喺跟住嘅時候，喺呢一度着重點，保羅係點樣去建立一個合神心意嘅教會。
So Paul go further and tell Timothy what's the best way or and how he should build a healthy church for God.
保羅喺呢一度提到教會，佢提咗兩個嘅層面。
So Paul mentioned here two kind of aspects too.
保羅喺呢一度特別話：倘若我耽延日久，你可以知道在神嘅家中當怎樣行。這家是永生神嘅教會，真理嘅柱石和根基。
Without delay, you will know how people ought to conduct themselves in God's household, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and foundation of the truth.
喺呢一度強調神係一個永生神，
So Paul emphasized that God is a living God,
教會係屬於呢位永生嘅神。
and that God is of the living God.
正因為呢位嘅神係一個嘅 living God 永生嘅時候，無論喺乜嘢嘅時代，喺乜嘢嘅情況，上帝都係睇住教會。
So because God is the living God, then it doesn't matter what generation and what in what time of period, God is always looking or taking care of the church.
呢個正好與啟示錄裏邊係好吻合一個嘅信息。
And this message actually matches perfectly or align with the message from the Revelation.
我有一日我都睇唔到教會嘅，
One day I will not able to take care of the church.
你都睇唔到。
Everyone, lots of people won't able to.
唔知邊一日，
Just we don't know which day.
你可能睇耐啲，
You're younger and you may have more time to take care of the church.
但係再過幾代睇唔到。但係呢位永生神喺唔同嘅 generation，佢仍然係睇住教會大。
Because the living God has been is able to take care the church from generations.
因為教會係神為元首。
So because it's the foundation of the church is
belong
God.
to God. Just back to the point, okay? Yeah， 弟兄姊妹，唔單止咁，你留意，佢除咗保羅提到教會係永生神嘅教會，提到係真理嘅柱石同埋根基。
So also Paul mentioned besides the church is of the living God, also God's household. Paul also mentioned God's household is his pillar and the foundation of the church.
無論佢講到係柱石或者根基，都係強調係咩啊？真理。
So it doesn't matter, it's a pillar or foundation. This is all for the truth of God.
用真理成為柱，用真理成為基礎。
Use the truth as the pillar of the church and also the foundation of the church.
所以保羅強調嘅時候，呢啲嘅原則唔係保羅嘅喜好，而係要按真理去建立。
So Paul emphasized all this qualification requirement is not based on his preference. Actually, this is all based on the truth because they are the pillar, the
或
foundation.
者我哋需要去建立一個有真理嘅教會，呢個先至係神嘅心意。
Or in other words, that we need to build a church of truth that is this will of God.
弟兄姊妹，保羅去到最後，你會留意其實保羅好連貫。
So we can see the argument of Paul or the logic of Paul is really smooth.
點解我哋要咁嚴謹去俾個人、家庭同埋信仰有咁高嘅要求？
So why Paul required the deacon have such a high level of on personal, family, or even the spiritual requirements?
因為我哋唔係建立緊一個社團，
Because we are not just building a community.
我哋做社團好似打家劫舍。你知道香港啲社團咧，周圍啲社團打家劫舍啊！
So we, as a community, we can do whatever we want. Even you can participate in illegal activities,
你
right?
可以講粗口，
So you cannot use dirty words.
你可以講鹹濕笑話。
You can make any joke.
但係弟兄姊妹，教會就唔係啦，教會係建立真理嘅。
However, the church will be different because it's this a church of truth.
請留意保羅喺第3節最後一句。
So maybe pay attention to the last words of chapter 3.
嗱，我哋一齊讀啊！
Maybe all read together.
佢話：大哉敬虔嘅奧秘，無人不以為意，就是神在肉身顯現，被聖靈稱義，被天使看見，被傳於外邦，被世人信服，被接在榮耀裏。保羅可能係一個嘅頌詞，可能係一個禱告。
So this seems to be a message from Paul and can also be a prayer of Paul.
保羅喺呢一度用一種叫做敬虔嘅奧秘。
So Paul mentioned here the mystery of godliness.
呢個嘅奧秘，無論你睇經文嘅時候，無論耶穌、天使啊、聖靈啊，都着重，甚至係努力進行當中。你會睇到嘅，慢慢去嘅，去到世人，去到外邦裏邊被信服。
This mystery of godliness was vindicated by the Spirit, was seen by angels, was preached among the nations, was believed in the world, was
究竟保羅呢度想講乜嘢？或者呢個重詞係講咩？
So what is the most important message from this verse?
歌羅西書嘅第1章裏邊，
When we read the book of Corinthians chapter 1,
保羅向歌羅西教會裏邊嘅表白嘅時候，神立我作教會嘅執事，要把神嘅道理傳得全備。
So Paul, when he wrote this letter to Corinthians, he said, I have become a servant by the mission God gave to me to present to you the word of
呢度亦都
God
提
in
到一
His
種嘅
fullness.
奧秘。
Here also, Paul mentioned about the mystery in verse 26.
咁呢個你睇翻個經文嘅裏邊係講到呢個奧秘係指到外邦人同樣可以得到呢個豐盛嘅榮耀，外邦人亦都可以被建立成為教會，以弗所亦係。
And the mystery, Paul said, is to them God has chosen to make known among the Gentiles the glorious riches of these mysteries. And
所以你會睇到喺呢一度嘅時候去回應教會要成為一個敬虔嘅群體。
so Paul emphasized here that church has to be a group of people of truth.
Church have to become a group, not only a group of people, it's also the godly people together. 敬虔嘅群體，求神幫助我哋每一個。所以，當我哋成為一個敬虔嘅群體，我哋就可以彰顯上帝嘅榮耀。
So when we become a church of truth of the godly people, then we can glorify God.
所以教會我哋着重真理，用真理去建立，讓教會成為一個榮耀嘅教會。
So we build a church based on the truth, and then we can build a glorious church.
弟兄姊妹，今日當我哋睇歌羅西書嘅時候，保羅佢自己亦都鼓勵歌羅西嘅教會去咁樣去回應。
Brothers and sisters, when we look at the book of Colossians, so Paul also told the church in the Corinthian church.
保羅嗰個人嘅侍奉，佢話：我傳揚他用諸般嘅智慧勸戒各人，教導各人，要把各人完完全全嘅引到神嘅面前。我也為此勞苦，照着他在我裏邊運用嘅大能，盡心去竭力。
So Paul said, we proclaim him admonishing and teaching everyone with all wisdom, so that we may present everyone perfect in Christ. To this end I labor, struggling with all his energy, which so powerfully work in me.
呢個係保羅去侍奉教會，去帶領教會，去鼓勵教會，去勸勉教會，要持咁，每一個侍奉者都要持咁樣嘅心態。
So that's what Paul encouraged and also asked the church to perform the time. And we have to, they should hold the standard of truth to build a glorious church.
每一個侍奉者要追求真理，要持守真理。
So all the servants need to hold the standard of truth.
唔係用個人嘅利益，唔係個人嘅喜好去建立教會，要建立一間神喜悅、合神心意、滿有真理嘅教會。
So they cannot build the church based on their own preference, rather than build a church that is based on the truth and that please God.
弟兄姊妹，試想像一下，如果教會帶領嘅人有真理，冇真理會變成點？
Brothers and sisters, may we imagine that what's the difference between a church that have truth and that doesn't have truth?
我估唔難諗嘅。 AI 話俾你聽。
So we ask AI,
如果教會或跟隨主嘅人冇真理，就會變成咁。
so the AI told us, with the follower of the Christ or so the God that don't have the truth in their heart, then they will
你
create something like
你
this.
你唔好覺得哎呀好funny 啊 AI 啊，整啲 AI 出嚟玩，你褻瀆緊神，你知唔知啊？
So you cannot.
誒
So this is not something that funny or interesting that creator can create this kind of image. Actually, yes, you're sinful
如
against
果
the
我哋
Lord
覺得
of
哎
God.
呀真 for fun，OK， 你真係會唔覺得你嘅標準好低啊？你褻瀆神都唔 care 啊？
So when you see
Right?
this kind of creation is fun, then you have a very low spiritual standard, and you don't even know you are sin against the Lord right now.
啊，仲有好多人出去幫佢 defense 添喎。
There are also lots of people defending him for this Trump or for this picture.
你知唔知？就係因為一張嘅圖畫喺美國嗰啲嘅福音派嘅裏邊已經分開咗兩邊啦。
So just because of this picture, then there's some separation or division among some gospel church.
弟兄姊妹，甚至啊，葛培理個仔都俾人話
So
Billy Graham。
Billy
OK。
Graham.
So the son of the Billy Graham, the Francis Graham, and also fall into the trap。弟兄姊妹，你知如果你睇呢個圖畫，你再讀下提摩太前書嘅第3章，你就明白點解保羅要我哋追求咁嚴謹嗰啲嘅原則啦。
when you look at this picture and read the chapter 3 of 1 Timothy, then we should understand or realize that why Paul is so concerned about the high standard or high qualification of our church leaders.
如果教會冇呢啲嘅真理，
With the church, without those truths,
侍奉者冇呢啲嘅真理，
and the servant of the church doesn't have those truths,
教會點能夠喺呢個社會裏邊發現發光？
so how can a church become the salt and light of this world?
弟兄姊妹，
Brothers and sisters,
侍奉
serving
唔係淨係可以做啲嘢咁簡單。
is not just complete something.
我哋喺教會，讓教會走一條合神心意嘅道路。
May we all build this church on the righteous path that followed God's will.
侍奉要讓我哋追求，不斷去追求，你就能夠透過侍奉去成長。
As a servant, we need to keep pursuing the will of God, and so we can have the spiritual growth.
唔單止你喺有個崗位，我可以成長。我就算冇呢個崗位，我都係咁樣嘅成長。
Not just because you have position that you try to seek for the spiritual growth. Actually, even you don't have any position in the church, you need to pursue the spiritual growth.
因為每一個侍奉都係一個 noble task。
Because every servant or every serving is
whatever job, and you do it, and within the church, remember, it's a noble task.
all this are noble tasks because
我哋要追求建立一個榮耀神嘅教會。
we need to build a glorious church.
Noble，因為我哋侍奉緊呢位尊崇嘅主。
We are noble or we are performing noble tasks because we are serving the respectful God.
呢位永生嘅上帝啊
The
living God。
living God.
當佢今日衡量你，你係一個點樣侍奉主嘅人？
So today, when God is measuring you about what kind of servant you are,
呢位永生嘅上帝，
the living God
佢期望你
would want you
點樣透過你嘅服侍，生命能夠成長。
would want you to grow. You have spiritual growth through the serving.
侍奉者，有一個心要管理照顧好教會。
As a servant, we should have the passion to take care of the church.
個人、家庭、屬靈嘅層面有好嘅名聲，讓你嘅侍奉能夠見證上帝。
You should have a good value both in your personal life and also your family life, so you can be the witness of God.
侍奉嘅人要持守真理，追求真理。
As a servant of God, we need to hold firm our truth and also pursue the truth.
弟兄姊妹，你有
Brothers and
冇好
sisters
裝備自己？
Have you well equipped it?
唔知點，我唔知點樣裝備自己。
I don't know how to equip myself well.
弟兄姊妹，有機會參加祈禱會，
Then you should attend the prayers meeting.
如果你參加祈禱會一段時間，我希望你做多一樣，你識睇聖經。
So if you've been attending the prayers meeting, then you should able to learn that how to read the Bible.
所以有啲弟兄姊妹佢知道我睇嗰段經文會睇啲乜嘢嘢。
So the brothers and sisters, they start to understand what's the main point we should get from the Bible.
所以唔係淨係睇嗰段經文，而係睇我睇呢嗰段，識唔識啊？
So it's not just reading the passage, you also need to understand how I try to present or what's the message I want to present to you.
弟兄姊妹，
Brothers and sisters.
好似一樣嘢啫嘛。我煮餐飯俾你食，你都食一次；我教曉你煮飯，你就以後都識煮飯。
Just like cooking, right? I cook for you, then you can eat my meal once. But if you know the way I cook, then you can cook it yourself and enjoy the meal all the time.
係啊 ，enjoy the meal all the time 你咪話哎呀，我唔識煮，你要買，食緊唔健康，自己煮好健康。你知道最少知道你食咗啲乜嘢嘢。
If you know how to prepare, you can then it's a good way.
弟兄姊妹，
Brothers and sisters.
聖經記得好清楚，讓我哋一齊按着神嘅真理裝備自己，建立榮耀嘅教會。
So Bible put it very clearly, the message that we need to equip well ourselves and so we can take care of the church and build the church.